بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الأخوة الأفاضل، الأخوات الفاضلات، مشاركينا الكرام، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Ladies and gentlemen, dear brothers and sisters, greetings of peace. And a very warm welcome from the family of all meditation centers in the Middle East. And thank you for making the time to share with us today's special event. We wish you all a pleasant experience this evening. My name is Awatif from Bahrain. As you know, the topic for the event's talk is God's healing power. And we are all so fortunate to have Sister Jayanti to share her insights and jewels of wisdom on God's healing power. We will be able to really have a deeper understanding and experience. Actually, there is a lot to be shared about Sister Jayanti. And the essence is that Sister Jayanti is an international speaker, a senior meditation teacher with over 45 years of teaching experience. She is the European Director of Brahma Kumaris and also their NGO representative to the United Nations, Geneva. As an emissary of peace, she has traveled to many countries as an international speaker and broadcaster. Her contributions include many publications and lectures ranging from topics from health, education, meditation, and environment. And also today's topic, God's healing power, which is a very valuable book written by Sister Jayanti. As you will observe tonight, Sister Jayanti really has the ability to communicate the deepest truth with the utmost clarity. She has helped thousands of people develop greater harmony and well-being in their lives. And recalling my experience while listening to Sister Jayanti for the first time, speaking about God, that was in a retreat in Kuwait, maybe in 2006, I was so touched that my eyes started tearing up. And my sister asked me about the reason. I told her it is the touching way Sister Jayanti spoke about God. So, dear brothers and sisters, final housekeeping point before we start with Sister Jayanti's talk. I would like to mention that you can kindly write your questions in the chat, either the general one or privately to the event MC. And also the questions from the YouTube will be observed. And to tell you that we have the translation in Arabic. So if you are not in that channel, you can shift to Zoom of Arabic. And there are also translations to Turkish and Greek going on side by side by their representatives. And now the floor is yours, dear Sister Jayanti. Please.
Thank you very much, Sister Avatif. Om Shanti, a greeting of peace to all my sisters and brothers. How does God heal us? Well, of course, we all have aches and pains and problems with our physical chariots, our bodies. And so we would love that God should give a gentle touch and the pain should go away. But what I've observed with Dadi Janki, and she went through a history of many, many illnesses. And finally, she ascended to the subtle region, the angelic plane, on the 27th of March, earlier this year, just about a month ago. What I observed was that when she would be in very severe pain, and even the doctors would wonder how she was managing, she did two things. She would experience the soul being detached from the body, and she would experience God's power reaching her, giving her the ability to able to tolerate pain. So it isn't that God touched a magic wand and the pain went away. No, if only. But no, we have to sort out our own karmic accounts. We have to settle them. But certainly God's help at that moment is the detachment and the power, and that allows the soul to go through that journey of pain much more easily than it would have otherwise. The third thing that God does for us, God fills our hearts with love and joy. And you know what that does? It raises the immune system efficiency. Our immune system is enhanced when there are positive experiences of love, of hope, of faith, of joy. And the converse is also true, that if I'm depressed, if I'm upset, if I'm angry, if I've lost hope, my immunity goes down. So certainly in the present crisis, I hope that all of you are safe and well and healthy. And if you are, keep, but God's remembrance will definitely help you with that. It will raise your immunity so that you're much more able to withstand whatever viruses are coming at us. And so God doesn't take away the pain, but God takes away the suffering. The pain is physical, but the suffering is emotional. And when a person is in remembrance of God, then God takes away that emotional pain totally. So that through that method also, yes, definitely the soul feels a liberation. There's no suffering inside. Not just Daddy Janki, I also had the good fortune of being with Daddy Prakashmani over a long period of time. And she would regularly get pain in her waist, in her back. And at one point, I know that she was in a lot of pain, but her face was smiling. And I said, Daddy, how come this is like this? And she said, well, the body has pain, but the soul is experiencing God's love. And so you can see that God's love is the healing power that's able to carry us through any amount of pain and suffering and make it seem very insignificant. God's love is more important than the problems that the body experiences. And of course, God's teaching that the soul is eternal, immortal, doesn't have a beginning, doesn't have an end. The body is perishable, and so dust will return to dust. And this is said in all the different traditions of the world. But the soul beyond that. And so God's connection is actually with the soul. And this question, who am I, is a question that Daddy used to ask us many times. Many of you will remember her famous 3 Om Shantis. The first Om Shanti, who am I? The second Om Shanti, who do I belong to? Do you know the answer to that question? We're the creation of God, the children of God. So who do we belong to? We belong to God, all of us. And it's the same one God, everyone, part of one family. Then the third, and understand what I need to do now. And so the 3 Om Shantis have great, profound meanings that we have to experience and then apply in our own lives. And so I've spoken firstly about the physical aspect, because maybe many of you were looking for remedies for physical health. Try Raj Yoga and you'll see the impact through these different ways. And it'll be very, very beneficial, definitely. But the other aspect, the most important aspect of God's love is the ability to heal the soul. How do you touch the soul? You can't touch it with your fingers. You can't measure it. You can't weigh it. You can't put it in a box. People have tried, but they haven't succeeded. But it's the soul. that is actually directly connected with the divine, and God's healing power is the way in which the soul can be transformed. Think about what you feel when you're happy and you're positive and everything seems to be going okay. You feel strong inside, you feel healthy, there's a sense of well-being, everything's good. Now, what happens when you're not feeling so good? You can feel that your system is slowing down, it's getting sluggish. And everything was okay in terms of physical parameters. Your state of mind and the lack of, and now the soul thinking of waste thoughts and this and this and this that are really not significant, are important. But if I begin to think about those things, then my energy level sinks, it drops down, my happiness is gone, it's impacting my metabolism. There just isn't the metabolic movement that there should be. And it was connected with the mind. And so when God teaches us how to connect with the one, and then shows us how to use this power we can get from the one to make ourselves feel well, to be able to have enthusiasm in our life, compassion and love in our hearts. Yes, definitely. During this time, I would suggest that the opportunity go down, explore within self the areas take time for. Last time for conversation. Never. Also possible.
So, Om Shanti, everyone. Sister Jayanti is just coming. Yes, Sister Jayanti, welcome back. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I hope you had a chance just for a few moments of silence rather than any upheaval. I wonder what's happening, what's going on, why are they doing this? So let's have a moment of silence now together anyway. Okay, so I was sharing about the power of God's love and how that's able to definitely give us the experience of the healing of the body in certain ways. But more than that is the experience of God's love that heals the soul. How much sorrow and pain do I carry from the past? Am I able to go beyond that sorrow just myself? Probably not. But what I can do is connect with God. And I begin to see the things of the past in a different way. And sorrow is not just bad for the mind. Sorrow is very draining and really takes away all the power that we have. Just think about it. When you feel unhappy, do you feel powerful or do you feel weak? Well, you know the answer. But also, when I'm feeling happy, I'm enthusiastic, I'm full of life, I want to do many things, and I have the energy with which to make things happen. Sorrow, and I can't do a thing, not for myself and certainly not for others. Can you imagine serving somebody else when you're unhappy and distressed? You can't do it. because whatever is going on inside of you is being emitted and shared with people out there. And so what I need to do is to deal with the sorrow that I'm carrying from the past. Maybe at the present time, all the circumstances are fine and there's nothing wrong, but yet there's something going on inside. Take, for example, the situation of lockdown. Now I can either see it as something that's absolutely awful. I can't go out, I can't meet my friends, I can't meet my relatives, and the children are going crazy at home, and I don't have the energy to manage the cooking and everything else that I have to do, plus look after the kids and also keep my spouse happy and comfortable. It's just too much. And so I begin to feel all my energy go down. But the other way, can I look at it differently and say, well, what is the opportunity that this has given me? And certainly the opportunity for everyone has been to spend quality time with the family. But more than that, I'd like to suggest that it's given each one of us the opportunity to actually be able to look within and see ourselves. And when we do this, then we're able to see what it is that we need to adjust and change with God's love and God's help. Maybe the way I'm looking at life is not as I should. Maybe I can see things differently at the present moment. Maybe in terms of the past, I can see things very, very differently. I can look at the past and say, okay, whatever karma there was, that was being settled. But more than that, what were the lessons I learned from the past? Can I think about those? Can I remember all the lessons that I was taught through experiences that were not so pleasant at the time, but yet they were beneficial? And so God removes the sorrow from my heart in two different ways. God changes my perspective and my attitude, but also God's love is such a healing power that compared to the love that I experience from God, those things of sorrow, the things that human beings did and all the things that happened, it just doesn't matter anymore. Absolutely of no consequence whatsoever. It was just a drop in the ocean and it's gone by, and I'm not bothered about it anymore whatsoever. So God takes away my sorrow and fills my heart with great, great happiness at the joy of what it is I have received. And I receive so much from the One. We'll come to that a little bit later further. But also, what else is there in my heart that's causing me a lot of grief? Maybe it's comparison. I'm comparing myself with another. And in comparison, there are two things that happen. There'll always be someone who has more than I have, maybe in terms of degrees that they've earned at university, maybe in terms of possessions that they have, maybe in terms of the position that they hold, maybe in terms of their physical appearance, they have much more than I have. And so when I think about that, I really feel very, very down. But then there'll also be others who have less than me. And when I look at them, and if I'm looking at things from a narrow perspective, I begin to have ego. You see, I have so much more than they. I am so much better than they. I have so many more degrees than they. But that ego isn't something that's going to bring me lasting happiness because, again, whatever I have on that external level I have today, but maybe I don't have it tomorrow. And then certainly there always will be someone who has more than I have. And so again, I'll feel very depressed and down. But when I come to God, God's loving vision and God's grace is such that God sees me as a unique child. God sees me as his creation, in whom all the qualities of the Creator are visible. When you look at a painting, who do you remember? You remember the creator of the painting. Just by the qualities of the creation, the picture, you know who it is who has created this. You don't have to look at the signature. You can just see that it's been a beautiful picture that's created and the qualities shine through. And so every human being is unique, totally individual. No two are the same, totally unique, exceptional. And each one of us carries the qualities of the Creator within ourselves. And so I don't need to compare myself with anyone and either feel less or more. Both are dangerous and slippery and make me fall down and cause more sorrow. But no, I see myself in my own inner dignity and state of self-respect as being the unique creation of the divine. And so God lifts me up to my state of true dignity and self-respect, such that no one can take my dignity away from me. It's God's gift to me. And so God's healing power heals the soul so that I don't compare myself with anyone at all. I don't need to do that. And then, what else? Forgiveness. If I haven't forgiven, there's a huge amount of pain that I'm carrying in my heart. I remember the words that have been quoted from Nelson Mandela, that when he left the prison, he knew he had to forgive his enemies who had put him into isolation for so many years of his life, 27 years, I think. And yet he said, I knew that I had to forgive. I knew I had to let go of any bitterness in my heart. Otherwise, I would still be a prisoner, even though I was now a free man. I did not want to be held in prison any longer. If I don't forgive, I keep myself in prison, in a prison of pain. That memory doesn't go away. I keep remembering that again and again and again. And every time I remember, it's like salt on a wound. It stings. It again feels as bad as it ever was. How long am I going to carry on holding this to myself and causing myself this grief? I don't want to. How do I let go? God's love. You'll say, is God's love the medicine for everything? Yes, I think it is. The one medicine to cure all ills. It means that when I experience God's love, my heart grows bigger, wider. It becomes more generous. And in that generosity of spirit, I'm able to let go. And I'm not doing the other any favor. It's a favor to myself, because I'm setting myself free from pain. And if I've been able to let go and forgive, then I can also learn to forget. If I haven't forgiven, I can't just put a full stop and say, oh, never mind, it's okay. No, the grief is still in my heart. The bitterness is something that I'm still carrying. I remember somebody saying to Dadi Jayanti, many of you know her. So somebody said to Dadi, there were 3 people who caused me a lot of pain. And I've forgiven 2 of them, but the 3rd one I can never forgive. And Daddy said to that person, well, if you're carrying a little bit of poison in your heart, that is impacting everything else in your life. And he looked puzzled, and Daddy said again, here's a glass of water. And I put a tiny, tiny speck of poison in it. Would you drink it? So if I'm carrying lack of forgiveness, bitterness in my heart, it's poisoning me, it's making me ill, and it's damaging all my relationships around me too, which I don't realize probably. But when I'm ready to forgive and let go, yes, then I can say, yes, I'm able to forgive. And then I can also say, well, that's the past. Let the past stay the past, and I can now let go and forget. While there's lack of forgiveness, there's also the possibility of anger. The anger that I felt when I was betrayed, the anger that I felt when I was cheated, it's still there. But when I forgive and I forget, the anger is also dissipated. The bitterness has gone, but the anger has also gone. And it's left me filled with freedom and peace. It's left me filled with such contentment that I can say, thank you, Lord. Thank you for everything. So these are some of the illnesses that God's love is able to heal us from. And so if I want to continue to stay well and healthy and strong, then it's important to be able to know that God is truly the healer. There might even be other things that I want to be able to experience, and that is, I want to experience joy. Can I do that? Yes. Joy and that sense of upliftment has been able to reverse disease. It's a fact. I remember a whole series of experiments being done in Holland in particular. I'd read about that. And they were tracking cancer. It was as serious as that. And what they found was that usually before the onset of the disease, maybe in the 18 months prior, there would have been something that caused a lot of sorrow. And that was usually within the case histories of the people they were seeing. But then, if within their life there was a new element of love that came in one case it was a young boy, 11 years old, with leukemia. And would that be reversible? Generally, you'd say, not really. But this little boy was given a dog, and the dog gave such love to this boy, and the boy was absolutely inseparable from the dog. And the disease was reversed. This is one little example. But imagine when I fall in love with God and I experience God's love, then that love is so beautiful, so powerful, that definitely it means that even physical health is able to recuperate. So many illnesses start in the mind, but then they have a very strong impact on the body. So psychosomatic, the psyche, the mind, impacting the soma, the body. And we've seen that in so many different cases. But if I take God's love and just allow myself to experience the nourishment, the power, and all the strength that this is able to give me, yes, then I'm well on my way. I'm going to be able to have a sense of well-being and strength. Sometimes relationships have caused a lot of sorrow. And God's love shows me, firstly, how not to have any expectations of human beings. But then further, God fills me with so much love that now I'm able to be the donor, the giver. I'm able to give love to others. And relationships are healed. And not only are they healed, but people want to have more of the same. They come very, very close because they experience that pure, unconditional love that they are now receiving. So it's not only healing the self that happens, but through whatever it is I have received, I can now be the instrument to heal others also. I don't say to them, I'm going to heal you, but all I'm doing is offering them God's love. And as I offer them God's love, so the relationship is healed, and definitely the other soul feels a huge sense of relief and benefit from that too. God's love is able to make my senses become calm and cool, so that I'm not troubled by any of my physical senses. One example, my tongue. My tongue runs away when it's speaking, but also my tongue has very specific demands. I want this, I want that, I want the other. And never mind obesity, never mind other health issues or diabetes or heart problems, my tongue will dictate. And God's love gives me the power to become the master of my physical senses. And in that state of mastery, the body is also healed, because now the soul is in charge, and the soul will control, the soul will manage all the physical senses. So what are my eyes seeing? What are my lips doing? What is my tongue doing? I'm in charge of all of that. I won't let the tongue run away and afterwards bite it and say, why did I say this? I've given pain to another. I've given concern to myself. I've shaken my own state of stability and brought myself into upheaval. No. The soul is in charge, and I will think before I speak, instead of speaking first and then thinking about it and trying to repair the damage, which takes a lot of time and energy. On all levels, for a healthy life, a life that's filled with happiness and joy and a sense of well-being, let me learn to connect. I've spoken about the divine. I just want to share a few thoughts to help you make that connection so that you yourself can experience the power of God's love. Just as the soul is invisible, but it's real, and it's a being of light, and it's located here in the center of the forehead, just behind the skin, in front of the brain. And so the driver sits and determines where this chariot is going to go and what is going to be done through this chariot, this body. Both work together, but the soul is the master, because the soul is the living being, the one with peace and love and truth. But connected to the soul is the divine. And so, just as soul powers the body, from the divine we receive the power for the soul to do the things that need to happen. Just as a soul is a being of light, the supreme soul, the divine, is also light. No physical form, no angelic form, no fixed form in that way, nothing that you can measure and weigh, but the being of light, the source of light and love and truth and joy. Think about the 99 names of God, and you have a list of the qualifications of God in those names. Yes, God is the merciful one. God is the loveful one. God is the one who has justice always. All the positive attributes you can think about are within this being, the supreme being. And most of all, the ocean of love. The ocean, unlimited, vast, infinite, but all of that contained within this being of light. And so when I meditate, I focus on that being of light. And as I make that link with the divine, all those attributes are able to flow out and reach me, and I absorb all of those within myself. And so it's not difficult to take God's love. It's not difficult to experience the healing power that God's love is able to have. But I just need to make that effort to come back to that awareness that I am a soul. Not that I have a soul. No, I am a soul. I have a body, but I am a soul. And in that awareness of my eternal identity as a soul, I'm connected very easily to the source of all attributes. And you will feel how God gives you the power of tolerance. God gives you the power to be detached. God gives you the power of love so that you can forgive. God gives you the power of your own dignity so that nothing ever pulls you down and you're able to maintain equilibrium no matter what's going on around you outside. So I'd like to stop there and see if there are any questions that anybody has, and we can take up the questions. Om Shanti.
Thank you so much, Sister Jayanti. Thank you so much for this heart-touching and soul-touching words. God's love is the medicine that cures all illnesses. Thank you so much. Actually, I have so far one question. The participant is asking, although I sit for meditation, but I find myself struggle, and I'm not sure whether I am connecting in the right way or not. So what's your advice?
Well, thank you for your honesty. And I'm sure that many others have a question that's also very similar. I think if I give you a definition of meditation, meditation is turning my mind to the awareness of the eternal self and connecting my thoughts to the Supreme. That is the definition of meditation in Raj Yoga. So first step, am I aware of the eternal self, the soul? Do I have the information to be able to have this understanding and experience? And if you've taken the meditation course, hopefully, everything we do is free of charge, so it's not an advertisement for anything, but it's an invitation. If you haven't yet taken the course that teaches about soul consciousness and God consciousness, please do connect with us and you'll receive information about what's online and when and where and how. So first step, let me come back here to the awareness of my own inner identity. And let me reflect on the qualities of the soul. And very quickly I'll find that my mind is becoming very peaceful. And then further, the door opens to be able to experience other divine qualities. In that awareness of soul consciousness, then let me think about the divine, the supreme being, the point of light. And let me start reflecting on the qualities of God. So I'm using my mind. I'm not telling my mind, stop. I'm not telling my mind, be silent, be still. No. I'm elevating the way in which my mind works. And that makes it very easy because we're used to having our thoughts go here and there and everywhere. 1 minute I'm reading a magazine, next minute my child calls me and I'm thinking about what the child needs. Next minute the phone goes and I'm trying to answer the phone. And so we need 8 arms to do all the things that the world expects us to do. But apart from all of that, at that moment, to be detached from the body, to be detached from the sights and sounds of the world, and just stabilize my thoughts in God, thinking about God's qualities, thinking about God's attributes. And in that way, I'm connecting. My thoughts are the connection point with the Supreme. And as I connect, who knows where further input is going to come from. I'm connecting with the Supreme, but it's as if I'm getting good wishes from the world also. And so that connection with the Supreme sends out light to the world, not just for me, but for the world. So these are the first 2 steps of meditation. And I recommend that you practice these. You'll be surprised that it's not so difficult. And you don't have to get up very early to begin with. Later on, when you want to, you're welcome. But when you begin, we don't insist that you follow any of the principles. If you do, it's better. Say, for example, if you have plant-based diet, that's going to help you meditate. If you make it a routine to do it every day, that's going to help you. If you create a space in your home, whether it's one little corner or whether it's a whole room that you can allocate for this, create a space which is your sacred space. So everyone in the house knows that when you're sitting in that space, you're not to be disturbed. They'll know that. It'll work. It'll gradually happen for that. When I do a few simple things, it helps. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. The next question, Sister Jayanti, how can you keep your peace when someone is constantly angry around you and provokes in an aggressive way?
I've been in that situation several times. And so my practical experience is I have to, A, maintain my own inner dignity, and I have to connect with God so that God's light surrounds me and protects me. It's a canopy that comes above you and takes care of you so that you don't feel the impact of their anger reaching you anymore. You're now under God's canopy of protection. And so their anger won't touch you. You don't need to grin. You don't need to smile with 32 teeth showing. But what you can do is remain very calm. And that will probably make them more angry to start with because they want to push you. They want to get a response. But no, you stay peaceful and calm. And after a couple of days, they'll give up and say, well, this person's like that anyway. So at some point, then that canopy of light also reaches the perpetrators, 1 or 2 or whoever they may be. But you begin making sure you stay under that canopy. Then that light can also reach out and serve the family.
Thank you, Sister Jayanti. And the next question is how to get rid of a physical pain that the doctors or medical people could not diagnose properly or treat it.
I'm not here to give you magical answers. So I don't know of any magic that can lead to a diagnosis or to recovery. But what I do know is that when you're feeling that pain, bring your thoughts back here. And in that awareness of the soul, connect with God, the being of light, and send God's light to wherever the healing is needed or wherever the pain is. so that God's light is able to absorb that pain and that vacuum. And this will definitely make you feel much better.
Thank you, Sister Jayanti. And I think for the purpose of the time, this will be the last question. How to talk to God? Do I have to focus on my wound or just trust the surgeon?
You have to first talk to yourself, be soul conscious, and then in a very natural way, you can talk to God, because you talk to God through your thoughts, not through words. So your thoughts of love and gratitude reach God, and the connection is made, and you feel God's love reaching you in return. And so, yes, God's light in that connection, then give God's light to wherever the wound is, and the healing process will happen much faster than it would otherwise. It won't be instant, but it will definitely be much faster than otherwise.
Thank you so much, Sister Jayanti, for the clear answers. And I think this now, you would like to say something?
I was just going to suggest that if the questions are over, should we have some meditation together?
Yeah, that was my next point. So now let's enjoy the meditation experience with you, Sister Jayanti. Thank you.
I'm sure you're sitting comfortably, but now I suggest you sit with your back straight, both feet on the ground, so that the body is relaxed and the mind is also free and relaxed. And so now I'm going to speak my own thoughts as I meditate and invite you to follow these ideas. Sitting quietly, I can feel my breath become calmer and deeper. And now my thoughts reach the Supreme. My thoughts of love, of gratitude, and peace. And as my mind becomes peaceful, and I feel the peace within, I have to remind myself that I am with the Supreme, the being of light. I, the soul, connect with the Supreme, the being of light. And the light of God surrounds me, and I feel the healing power of God's love. God's love is empowering, enriching, and healing. The healing power is helping my mind to come back to resilience, power, and thanks. God's light reaches out to the entire human family so that all may experience this healing. God's light reaches out to the entire planet. All forms of life and nature are no longer under threat. God's love surrounds the planet, and as the healing takes place, together we create a better world. Om Shanti. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sister Jayanti. And now I would like to invite our sister Aruna Ledva. She's an author and speaker, to say a few words of thanks to Sister Jayanti.
Sister Jayanti, Om Shanti. Before I just do that, since we have one more minute, somebody has written me a question, and they're saying that they're meditating every day, but the thing is that they were involved in a car crash. That's why I feel it's just important to give some attention to this person. They were involved in a car crash on Monday, and it's disturbed them a lot. They're crying a lot. So what would you recommend in such a situation?
Well, my first hope is that they're not too badly injured, and people in the other vehicle also are not too badly injured. And the next thing I would say is just let the mind become quiet for a moment and allow God to come into your mind so that God can heal your heart and fill you with His love and light. And then whoever else was involved in the crash, then you send God's light and love to all of them. You're lucky that you meditate, that you know about God, and maybe they don't. So now your duty is to share that light and love with them. You don't need to go to them and say, learn to meditate. No, you have taken God's love. You know what it's like. And so you now give them that love and light. And yes, maybe it's the moment to reassess and see what is important in your life. What is it that I really need to focus on? Maybe I was trying to do too many things all at once. But now this has come as a wake-up call for me to see what can I do that is useful. And if you're not able to think about any answers to this question yourself, then meet the person who teaches meditation and ask them, and they will help you.
Thank you, Sister Jayanti. I hope the sister has taken a lot from that. So I will just take this minute to revise some of the things you shared with us. It's actually back to basics, but still very important. So Sister Jayanti was asking us to create a sacred space inside our home, inside our heart, and inside our soul. To stay under God's light, the light of protection, the canopy of protection, and this healing light is a very protective light. This light actually increases our immunity, and as we stay in God's remembrance, we are able to protect ourselves. So feel God's love. God's love makes my heart grow wider and bigger. It makes me feel free. Then if I'm able to forgive, then only can I forget. And Sister Jayanti left us with a homework, and that is to be instruments, to heal others, to offer God's love. so that all my relationships can be healed. And I will also leave you with the 3 Om Shantis that Sister Jayanti started with. And that is the first Om Shanti, who am I? Second Om Shanti is, who do I belong to? And the third Om Shanti is, what is it that I need to do now? So, Sister Jayanti, thank you so much for making this time. We have people on the Arabic Zoom as well. I think there's just under 200 there. There's about 100 people on YouTube listening. And there's other groups in other parts of the world that are giving their own countries' translations. So this has been extremely beneficial. And I think this is a topic for right now. Everybody needs to stay under God's light, and that is the only way forward. So thank you for that reminder.
Thank you. It's been a privilege to be with all of you. Thank you to all those who have given the time to be with us and to listen. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti, Sister Jayanti.